welcome back to the videos. The next lesson, as I said, is about typography. To recap where we are, we've now got our composition set up, we've got our palette set up, and we've got our background layer set up. What I tend to do with these videos is I tend to make a preset for the typography animations. We can do more complicated typography animations for specific moments in the video, but for something like this, you're going to want to do a lot of typography. One, it makes the video pop more from a production value perspective, and two, it makes it easier to emphasize certain points or things that John's saying in the video. So you'll probably end up having 100 to 200 typography layers if your video is, say, 20 minutes long. We want to make a layer that is easily editable, that still looks good, but is going to be easy and less time consuming for us to basically make 100 of these compositions. So I'm going to show you how I do that. So we made a new composition. I don't actually think we need this one to be 4K. That doesn't make sense. So as a rule of thumb, high resolution is probably better, but let's face it, computers have only come so far. So if you start to animate on a 4K sequence when you don't need a 4K sequence, you're going to cause your computer a lot of stress. So we only want to use the resolution that one, our computer can handle, and two, isn't going to take too much processing time. So we're going to go 1080 by 1920. We're going to do a duration of, let's say, 30 seconds. Fantastic. We'll start off by just seeing what our text looks like. We've obviously got our fonts that we selected. So I'm in the composition that Alex put together. I'm going to see what is the first key moment I'd want typography for.
Masayoshi Son was the richest man in the world for 3 days.
Masayoshi Son was the richest man in the world for 3 days. So that is the first typography we're going to do. So we got our text animation template. Fantastic. We're going to delete that empty text layer and we're going to type out Masayoshi Son was the richest man in the world for 3 days. Okay, so it's a little bit tough to see at the minute, so we're going to align. Let's not do that. Align was the richest. So I've chosen Simplitica as the text we're doing this with because it's not my primary font. It's my, I suppose, my secondary typeface font. And this is where I'm going to put the long information in. The font I'm going to use for my long paragraphs or phrases and stuff like that. I'll reserve the primary font for titles or anything that'll come into the story animations. I'm going to make Masayoshi Son bold, and I'm going to make richest man in the world. I'm going to make the word 3 bold, but the rest of it can just be in medium. So the same for days. Medium, full stop. Beautiful. I'm going to add some space between the text layers, and I'm going to go to, oh golly, I'm going to go to paragraph, and I'm going to make sure that's centralized. So for these template animations, we're going to want to make them a little bit simpler, otherwise you can't really automate them. If you put new text in there, it'll all kind of fall down like a house of cards. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a nice basic reveal of the text as it just lowers down into a background for the text. Let's do that. So let's go new, shape layer. Beautiful. Let's grab the pen tool and let's grab a line just there. It's about now we're probably going to want our palette. So let's drag that in here. Make it smaller. Lovely. And I think the color I'm going to pick for this one, for the background of the text, is going to be the blue, because that's a nice blue. Let's add some stroke. Lovely. And I'm going to put this shape layer behind the text. And that's looking interesting. So we got a text with a little something extra just to give it a little bit of pop. So let's rename that to text background. Lovely. What we'll do is we'll add another path layer. Grab this one. And because it's in the same group, it will have the same effects. And we'll do exactly the same. Again, add path. Highlight that. Beautiful. So we still got some work to do to get it where we want it and to make it automated. But I think the first thing we'll do is we'll add a trim path to this layer. Trim path essentially will just allow us to animate the text backdrop on. So if we put that down to 0, as you can see, it now wipes on like that. But I don't want to do it simultaneously, I want it to do individually, so it'll look something like this. Lovely. So we got something starting to happen now. It still needs some work. What we'll do, we'll start animating the text on nice and rough. Let's go text, let's go animate, let's go position, let's go advanced. Text layers in After Effects basically have a lot of properties that you can mess around with. So what I'm going to do is on this one, I'm just going to mess around with the position. What I'm going to do is change this from based on characters to based on words. So basically I want to just affect whole words rather than individual characters. If I was to move the position up, basically everything's moving. But what I could do, if I move everything up, for instance, and go range selector, move that down to 0, and go back to the start, and move it up to 100. Cool. It's going backwards, but it looks pretty cool. It's sort of what we're looking for. So put the end at 100, and then we'll move the start from 0 to 100. So what's this going to look like? There we go. That's pretty much what we're looking for. Bring these keyframes together. Let's grab the path and just make sure these are all aligned properly. I think what we need is a bit more stroke actually. So let's change this from 96 to 110. Yeah, okay, that's about what we're looking for. So now we got something like this. Nice. It's getting there, but it's not quite what I'm looking for. What I think I'll do is go to the animator, bring this up to more like minus 500. So there we go. Nice. So now we're going to use an alpha matte, which is an incredibly useful tool in After Effects. I'm basically telling After Effects what part of this text I want to see. So at the minute, my aim is to essentially only see the text once it's in the box, so I can't see it up here. So to do that, I basically need to tell After Effects that everything outside of these boxes is no man's land for the text. I'm going to go to my box layer. I'm going to bring it above the text layer, so now it's going to be covering the text. Click the text layer, and now you want to go over to this section here, which is track matte. At the minute, it'll be set to none. What you want to do is text background 2. If we now change the name of this, we can call it text alpha matte. If we have a look now, we have text entering the box. Lovely. So I want to make sure this is all timed correctly. I'm going to get rid of my palette. I'm going to press U to bring up all my keyframes. I think the boxes come on too quick in comparison to the text. So what I'm going to do is I need to get rid of the keyframe on this text alpha. I need to alt click it, go to the end animation. I'm basically now telling it to just make sure the end animation is exactly the same to the original box. So we got the box down here that we can see, and we got the box here that's telling the text where it should be and where it shouldn't be. So if I want to start adjusting these keyframes, I need to make sure that this one is doing the same thing. So I'm basically going to the effect in this one that I want to be linked to the background layer, and I'm alt clicking and I'm pick whipping it to this layer. So now if I was to affect this, now the matte would be in line with the actual background. So I can affect these keyframes, and it'll make the changes to the alpha matte as well. Nice, I feel that looks pretty cool. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a new adjustment layer, which is basically just a layer that affects everything below it. For instance, add brightness on this adjustment layer, everything will get brighter. The text, the box, the track mat, everything. But that's not quite what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to go to posterize time, drag it onto the adjustment layer. I want to change this to 8, which is going to add a little bit of interest to it. Now to make sure the paths are always correct, in the same way that we link the trim paths effect, we're going to link the actual path shape. So I'm going to go to these paths, drop them all. We're going to alt click on path 1 up here, whip it to path 1, alt click on path 2, whip it to path 2, alt click on path 3, whip it to path 3. Beautiful. So now, if I was to adjust the path, the shape of this, it would also be affected by the track mat. Fantastic. So we now have almost got a template. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of texture to that line because it's a little bit boring just being a straight line. So I'm going to do a roughen edges, which is going to add a little bit of interest to it. I'm going to do that on the track mat as well. So see, it's now got these bumpy features. Makes it feel like it's a bit more rustic, a bit rougher. So that is how we make quite a simple but repeatable text animation that we can use throughout the entire video. But we don't have to stop there. What we're going to do in the next video is we're going to show you how we can make the base simple text animation a little bit more bespoke and a little bit more poppy. Maybe just add a few additional effects based on what the text reads, just to make it a little bit more bespoke.